1. You said no and didn't explain why. You said no. Not, no, but here's why. Not, no, I'm so sorry, I wish I could. Not the version with 3 paragraphs of justification attached, to make sure no one ends up upset. Just, no. And it felt wrong. It probably still does. That low-grade guilt that settles in after, the urge to go back and soften it, add context, check that they're okay with it, that feeling has a name. When you grow up in an environment where other people's moods determined your safety, your nervous system learns something. It learns that conflict is dangerous, that saying no risks the relationship, that the fastest way to stay safe is to become whatever the moment requires, agreeable, helpful, small. Psychotherapist Pete Walker, who spent decades working with complex trauma survivors, called this the fawn response. Not fight, not flight, not freeze, fawn. The pattern of making yourself palatable to avoid harm, abandoning your own needs so completely and so automatically that you stop noticing you're doing it. It doesn't feel like a trauma response. It feels like being a good person. That's what makes it so hard to stop. So when you said no, plainly, without a disclaimer, that wasn't rudeness. That wasn't selfishness. That was your nervous system doing something it never learned to do when you needed it most. It chose you. 2. You left early and didn't apologize for it. You left the party, the dinner. You said you had somewhere to be, or maybe you said nothing at all. Just got your coat and walked out before anyone could see you unraveling. And someone called it rude. Someone called it antisocial. You called it something worse. Here's what was actually happening. Trauma rewires how the nervous system reads a room. When you've spent years in environments where the mood could shift without warning, where laughter could turn cold, where safety was something that had to be constantly monitored and never assumed, your nervous system doesn't stop doing that job just because you've left. It keeps scanning, keeps clocking exit routes. Dr. Stephen Porges, neuroscientist at Indiana University, spent decades studying this exact mechanism. His research found that feeling safe isn't a mindset. It's a biological state, one the nervous system either registers or doesn't. And when it doesn't, when the body detects threat signals even in rooms that look perfectly ordinary, it can't heal. It can't regulate. It can't rest. It can only protect. Leaving wasn't avoidance. It was your nervous system finally allowed to do what it's been trying to do for years. Find somewhere it could breathe. 3. You stopped explaining your decisions. You made a decision, and you didn't explain why. No preemptive apology. No detailed breakdown of your reasoning. No, I know this might seem strange, but tacked onto the front of a simple answer. Just the decision. Standing alone. Unsupported. And it felt dangerous. Because for a long time, explaining yourself wasn't optional. It was a survival strategy. In the environments that shaped you, a decision without a justification attached was an invitation for interrogation, for anger, for being made to feel that your choices required approval before they were valid. So you learned to get ahead of it. You learned to explain first, extensively, before anyone could ask. That is not a communication style. That is a nervous system that learned, early, that undefended choices were unsafe. Stopping that narration doesn't mean you became cold. It means the threat level finally changed. You stopped explaining yourself because somewhere, underneath all of it, you started to believe that your decisions don't require a defense. That's not distance. That's the first real silence that's ever belonged to you. 4. You reduced contact with someone you were supposed to love. There's a word nobody says out loud when you first start pulling back. Not boundaries, not space, not a break. The word is relief. And that relief scares you Because you were taught that family is unconditional, that love doesn't have limits, that the discomfort you felt every time you were around them, the way your body braced before a phone call, the hours it took to recover after a visit, was something wrong with you, not with the relationship. So you stayed longer than you should have. You managed yourself more carefully than any person should have to. You got very good at leaving yourself before you even walked through the door. Reducing contact with someone you are supposed to love isn't a failure to love them. It is a recognition, finally, late, hard-won, that proximity is not the same as safety, and that you are allowed to require safety even from the people you came from. The relief you felt was not callousness. It was your nervous system exhaling for the first time in years. 5. You started treating yourself with kindness. You used to be the last one on the list, everyone else's needs first, everyone else's reactions managed. Your own discomfort quietly moved to the back of the room. The way you'd learned to move yourself to the back of the room. Being kind to yourself, genuinely, without immediately undercutting it, felt dangerous. Not metaphorically, actually dangerous. In the environments that shaped your nervous system, self-focus was punished. Putting yourself first was called selfish, ungrateful, too much. So you stopped. You became skilled at anticipating everyone else, at shrinking your own hunger down until it made no noise. But something shifted. It might have been small at first, a moment of not punishing yourself for a mistake. A day you let yourself rest without building a case for why you deserved it. A morning you asked yourself what you needed before asking what everyone else needed first. It felt wrong, suspicious, like you were missing something, waiting for the consequence. That waiting is the residue of trauma, not a personality trait, not who you are. The cruelty you turned inward for years was not something you chose. It was something you were taught. And now, quietly, without permission, without a justification prepared, you are unteaching it. That's not selfishness. That's the whole point. 5 decisions. None of them looked like healing from the outside. They looked like coldness, withdrawal, selfishness. People said so, maybe directly, maybe in the way they went silent, the way they stopped calling, the way they made you feel the absence of their approval, like a verdict. But here is what that verdict was actually measuring. It was measuring how far you'd moved from the version of you that was useful to them. The version that stayed too long, explained too much, needed nothing, absorbed everything. The version your trauma built to keep you safe. That version kept you alive. It is not who you are. Every decision on this list cost you something. Someone's approval, someone's comfort. The version of yourself that had learned to make your damage invisible so other people could stay comfortable around it. That's not a small price. Don't let anyone tell you it was easy or obvious or that you should have done it sooner. You did it when you could. Something that was there before the damage and has been waiting, patiently, stubbornly, for you to come back to it. You're coming back, one decision at a time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and check out many other similar videos on